So, late night walks, late night talks, right? Had an experience at work, and it made me think about a lot of the content that I've seen suggested for me on my feed on YouTube and various other platforms, or different memes that I've seen going around about boomers, and everybody, has a problem with boomers and boomer this, boomer that. They're selfish, they're entitled, they're this, they're that. Me, I've never really taken or placed a lot of stock into, having beef with a whole generation, because I don't know, that just doesn't seem to be a correct thing to do. But I am noticing a lot of similarities. I'm noticing a lot of similarities in these damn boomers. And I have to say that because Gen Xers don't really seem to be that big of a problem. You could talk to a Gen Xer, you could have a real conversation with a Gen Xer. The silent generation people that I work with, as I'm in healthcare and I work with many elderly, seem to be pretty cool. Everybody's got their hang-ups, but they seem to be pretty cool and pretty happy to see you excel and do well, and they seem to be proud of you. But these goddamn boomers. So to get to my experience, so I'm still relatively new at my job, and that comes with a lot. It's nursing, so there's not a lot of guys in it. So if you show up as a guy, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of people, sizing you up, and a lot of this, a lot of that, because you stand out, right? You're not the norm. And I remember the first day I started, I ran into this guy, older guy, in his 50s, maybe his early 60s, older black gentleman, been on the job for decades probably, and he's a nursing assistant. I'm a licensed nurse. So I would be a part of the staff that would be supervising him, and I'm younger than him, and there's a whole dynamic. But this guy was mean mugging me from day one. And all I simply did to him was look in his direction, nod, and say hello. And he looked at me as though I had just told him, to go fuck his mother or something, or, to go step on a puppy or something. He looked at me as though everything about me just fucked with everything in his soul. And I'm used to it. I've run into this type of nonsense with older guys on the job. Older women too, but it's not as much because it's not as thought to be as much of a competition. But I knew exactly what it was. I'm younger than you. I'm in a different position than you, a supervisory position. And you're so used to being whatever, the man, whatever it is. And now you have somebody younger than you who you feel has bested you. Me, I'm just showing up to do a job, and I just happen to have the credentials to do said job. If you'd like to do that job, I would suggest you go do the same. That would be my advice to him, to go get those credentials so that you too can be a charge nurse, if that's really what you want to do. But this guy really went out of his way to mean mug and to give me all these stupid little looks. And if I'd say hello, barely say hello back, and all this other stuff. And I just was like, once I see that in a person, if I see it once, I think, okay, maybe it's me. If I see it twice, I think, okay, maybe you have a problem. If I see it 3 times, I'm like, okay, well, fuck you forever, right? So from that point on, I just didn't acknowledge the guy. We worked different shifts. So it was like, what's the point of even trying? I'm not going to try. I'm just going to look through him. He'll be like a pane of glass to me whenever I see him. He's not an important person, and it's toxic to be that hateful to someone you don't even know. You don't even know me. You know nothing about me, but you got a problem. You're giving me looks where if we were on the street, I would assume that you wanted to have a physical altercation. I would assume that. And yeah. So, haven't had to deal with this clown for a while, but I show up to work today, and it turns out he was doing a double. He worked the morning shift, and he was going to work the mid shift, which is my shift, 3 to 11. And I see him, and the way we run our facility is it's split into 4 different medication carts. And the cart that I was on has a whole corridor, and I have about 30 patients, in that corridor. And I have about 2 to 3 CNAs assigned to me who take care of the patients within that area. And he was one of them. And I was like, oh, fantastic, right? But I was like, I'm going to stick to the game plan. If it's not about the patients, I don't want to hear it. Blah, blah, blah. I know what's in your heart. You have a problem with me. You don't know me. You've never had a conversation with me. I have no desire to even try with you. I'm not even going to try. Just make sure you know how to follow directions. So I see him, and then he comes over and, introduces himself, and, he does it in this kind of sleazy, like, I'm cool kind of, big brother. So we're going to be working together, Yeah, I'm Tony. And I'm like, yeah, I'm such and such. I'm Holden. And he's like, yeah. So, we're going to be doing this over here. And at this point, I've been in the game of healthcare about 10 going on 11 years. As the shift went on, he proceeded to tell me what medication I should give to my patients. One, he doesn't decide that. I don't decide that. A physician decides that. But what I do have is the discretion to choose between the medications that are available for the patient in terms of medications that can be given upon request. I can choose that and via my nursing discretion choose the appropriate medication. And I have a lot of experience doing that. I have a wealth of experience doing that. And this man was trying to supersede his station as a nursing assistant and tell me what to give a patient. And I'm like, okay, so you've been mean mugging me for months. Every time I just happen to run into you into the hall, you got this sour ass look on your face. Okay, you don't want to say hello. That's fine. That's your right. I don't want to know you anyway. But what's the point? One less idiot in my life. Sounds like a good deal to me. But now you want to try to sun me and tell me what to do when I'm the one with the license who graduated at the top of their class, and you are the person with, and this is not to put people down, but this is a statement of fact, you have a certificate, and you have not elected to go get a license. I don't need that from you. So I had to just straight up tell him, you know what, I got the medication portion. If you can go ahead and make sure that the patient is clean, dry, and repositioned, and that'll be what I need from you. And that shut him up. But he just kind of scowled at me and just looked at me, just a little bitch, just a little angry little bitch, a jealous little bitch. But I'm noticing a lot of boomer men are like that. A lot of boomer men. If you're a younger guy, which I'm 40, I'm not young, right? But I'm younger than them. So I'm a millennial, right? So if you're a younger guy and you show up on the scene and these guys see you, and you're not kissing their ass and running behind them, so because you're trying to see where you fit in the pecking order, and you're trying to give the older wolves their due. It's like, I don't owe anybody due just because they're a late model human. Like, I don't owe you shit just because you're older. I don't owe you a goddamn thing. I would give you respect if you carried yourself with respect. I do believe in respecting people older than me. I do believe in that to a certain extent, because that can be abused. But I don't owe you anything. I don't have to come in making any mea culpas. I don't have to shrink myself. I don't have to tuck my tail. I don't have to do any of that shit because you feel some kind of way. But these boomer guys are like this. And it just makes me feel like, okay, so you have this irrational fear of someone younger than you holding a power position, which can't be denied via the structure of the facility and how medicine works. I have the higher ground. Am I a better person? No. Am I a smarter person? No. Am I more capable? Not necessarily. But as life and circumstance panned out, that's the situation. So I can only imagine that these people are shitty parents because they can't stand seeing a younger person rise into their power. And what I mean by that is they probably can't stand to see their son or their daughter become autonomous, strong, successful adults, which is why everybody associates the boomer with narcissism, because the narcissist wants to keep you small. Everything about the narcissist game is power and control and leverage, and I've got this over you, and I've got that over you, and I'm still in the power position because of XYZ reason, and blah, 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 blah. They have no idea, right, how to fellowship with people without it being transactional or something where they're trying to get over. The boomer is always trying to get over, it seems. And then they always lead with aggression. Or if it's not like naked aggression, this I'm sure that light is not pleasing to see. If they're not moving with like naked aggression, they're being passive aggressive. They're being, they're being as spicy as they can be, They're saying little backhanded shit, Again, when I'm dealing with a Gen Xer, I don't really get this. A Gen Xer, what I've noticed about Gen Xers is they'll deal with you if they like you. If they don't like you, they won't fuck with you, but they won't try to cause problems for you either. The silent generation people, if they're still with it, they're going to just be like, oh, attaboy, and pat you on the head and be nice to you, and they give you grace. Some of them are fucked up. Some of them are toxic. After all, they created the boomer, right? They created the boomer. But the majority of them, especially when, if you're a guy and you're dealing with older men, they kind of treat you with kindness and care. They're kind of like, oh, hey, attaboy, whatever. But these boomer fucks, man, these boomer fucks are like perpetual children. They can't stand that you're in the position you're in, or even if, let's say I wasn't even in a higher position, right? Let's say I was a fellow CNA. Just being younger, okay, and just being liked by the patients, and just being someone that, whatever would be envied, just having those things would make this guy hate me the same. Me having a slightly higher station than him in this work environment just adds to it. It's the icing on the cake for his hater bullshit. I guess you could sum this video up into that. Boomer men are haters. They are haters. They are the biggest haters, and they're so full of hate, and they're so full of envy. They don't even know how to mask it. They don't even know. A lot of people who you think are your friends are not your friends. They're actually haters, but they might have enough intellect to mask it. These boomer men don't have that because they just feel like everything should be theirs. Everything should be mine. I should be the team leader even though I'm not the team leader. Like, I'm literally the team leader. You can't go anywhere without telling me that you're going on your lunch, or you're this or you're that. You have to answer to me. Am I saying that again that makes me better? No. This is a statement of fact. Just as I have a director of nursing, and if she says jump, I say how high. Better yet, when can I come down? Because that is a chain of command. And I like having a job. So I'm going to do what the fuck I'm told. Period. I hate to say that, but that's what it is. Unless you're an entrepreneur, that's what it is. You follow the chain of command because you don't want to deal with stupid bullshit. But these boomers, their egos are so inflated that they feel that they could supersede that, and I'll never get it. Because if you run into a wall, which is a person you can't get past me. If you keep running into the wall and you get a little bit too, insubordinate, and you get a little bit too nasty, and you make, too many mistakes, I'm just going to write you the fuck up. I caught him doing something while he was telling me about pharmacology, having never taken a course in it himself, having never done anything close to the things I've done. While he's doing that, I watched this man put a man in a Hoyer lift sling. Okay, the man had a urinal. The urinal was still attached to his chair. I had to run down the hall and stop him because he's lifting this man in the air, and this guy's urinal, okay, his Foley catheter, his Foley catheter, which was inside his penis, where it goes, would have been ripped right out his penis through his pants. That's a lawsuit. So I'm sitting there. I didn't make a big deal about it, but I did say, man, that could have been pulled out. And then I just walked away. because you shouldn't throw stones in glass houses. You shouldn't try to send someone when you don't even know to disconnect the urine bag that is connected to the Foley catheter that is shoved right up the patient's cock. You should know that, since you're trying to tell me all these things. But these boomers are so in love with themselves, and they're so in love with their own flatulence that they forget to look for the details of how to do their own jobs and fulfill their responsibilities. So I say all that to say, the boomer is an issue. I'm starting to see the truth of that more and more. Again, I don't want to assign that to everybody in that generation. I have some people that view this channel that are of the boomer generation, and I'm very thankful that they're here. I would assume, though, if you're a boomer and you're watching this channel, you're not like the rest of your ilk. I would assume that, because this channel is largely devoted to accountability, and that seems to be something that other boomers are very much allergic to. But yeah, I might talk more about boomers, but just wanted to rant. Good night.